Hello everyone, I'm really happy you're here in the new video, and today I'm going to talk to Iona, whom I connected via LinkedIn, which is a platform where I am really active recently. And Iona's bio on LinkedIn says, unlock such a level of clarity and confidence that you easily find and pursue your dream career. Get your mojo back and save years of frustration. Change your career identity from the inside out. And then when I read this bio, I was like, wow, this is the exact struggle so many young students and young working professionals have. And therefore, I'm so happy and grateful that Iona is here today, and she is going to tell us how to make the dream career and how to find the ideal career for us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lenka. And I think it was like, in a way, fate on how we came along because I think I approached you and then you are like, oh, you did this training. And from there, we started like talking and you invited me. I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn for me is I'm discovering LinkedIn like last 3 months, and I'm so amazed how you can make genuine connections, and you never know through which direction the LinkedIn will take you, whether they're friendships or working opportunities, or it's amazing.
Exactly. And it's so made for networking. And I started using it last year, actually,
Mm-hmm,
in my business because I was like trying more Instagram or Facebook or other
mm-hmm,
platforms, and I was like, why am I not on LinkedIn actually? Because that's the place to be for what I'm doing, and it's such a nice place for networking. And I think people sometimes underestimate it on how you can meet people just by
mm-hmm,
starting some conversation
mm-hmm,
without any hidden agenda.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Iona, you are career strategic coach. What is it?
Yes.
What does it mean? What do you do?
So I say mostly that I'm like a strategic intervention and embodiment coach, and the strategic intervention comes from the school of Tony Robbins, actually. And why they call it like that is because they have an approach of also therapy in it.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy, like family therapy. So it's a combination of different NLP as well. So he
Mm-hmm.
took all these strategies of coaching and he put it in one and he called it strategic intervention.
Oh.
But for career, why I put it like career is because sometimes we get in this career stagnation in our life
Mm-hmm.
along our career path, our journey, and we kind of don't know how to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Where kind of we go in a loop and
Mm-hmm.
we end up in the same point that you are like, ah, I feel I'm like ending up in a similar job or in a similar
Mm-hmm.
position where I was like a few years ago, or a similar manager, or
Similar.
uh, same colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we don't like, or maybe we like, but it comes this repetition,
Mm-hmm.
this stagnation where you don't know how to move forward and you don't know what you're searching.
Mm-hmm.
So is the strategic is like we come strategically to change that and
Mm-hmm.
change your journey or your path.
It's like Tony Robbins is teaching, unless you change something internally, you cannot change the external world. So,
Exactly. If you continue asking the same questions, you're gonna get the same answers. So it's that's kind of the idea with it.
Iana, can you tell us briefly your background and how did you ended up doing what you do, which is helping others to find their careers? How did you come up with this? Did you wake up one day and thought, okay, I'm gonna be like a strategic intervention coach?
Definitely not. I think that's the nice part of like exploring things and like
Mhm,
really being curious, because I come from a background where I've studied business a lot,
mhm,
and I have background working in pharma and tourism industry like Novo
mhm,
Nordisk and Marriott hotels and so on, and I was working a lot there with as I said, project management, but also training programs and onboarding and designing trainings for new employees. So
mhm,
at one point, I think it was like 4 years ago, I woke up that I was working in corporation, and that It's not that there is something wrong with corporation. I think that there is nowadays going around that word of corporate hate, which I don't really agree with it, because if
Mm-hmm.
you really like corporation, there are people who work in corporation and they're perfectly happy, and
Mm-hmm.
is their dream career, but it depends on what you want. But the
Everyone,
idea is that, what did you say?
everyone is different, so it depends on.
Everyone is different, exactly. But the idea is that for me, it was not my environment, because I didn't know how did I end up here. And this is all, like, now I'm working, I'm having a salary, and I had a great manager that was giving me so much freedom, and that's it. It's just like, that's
Wait,
it.
that's
Is this my life? So I must say that this path of self-development came in that part where I was also going through a lot of things in my life, like in my other 6 years of my life. But it kind of came up with it's like, what's the point of life? What do I
Mhm.
want to do? Who am I? Where do I want to go? What's my vision? Because I achieved what society was telling me to achieve: get a nice job, well paid. Now you get, how to say, maybe it's time to find a place, buy it, have a partner, kids, and that's it. Not that there is something wrong in that, but it was just what society was teaching me and what I've seen in my surroundings or in movies or what you see around there, right? And you
Mhm.
have all this data in your head, and I was like, that's not, it doesn't match. So I kind of went on an inner journey,
Uh-huh.
and from there I found this world, and I was amazed at how how much bullshit we have in our heads
Okay.
that is leading our life, and we are not even aware.
Iona,
Uh,
what
yeah,
are the most common struggles when choosing actually career? And like, what are the most common, you said bullshits in our head, which prevent
it's the
us from going where we want to go?
it's I would say that it's like not having the clarity, and I think that goes so much in hand with what I'm saying in my liner on LinkedIn, is because we don't really know what we are good at it. I've seen a lot of people, me inclusive, that land amazing jobs, but they become good at those things, but just they become good because they're continue doing it, but it's not what they're passionate about. It's
Mm-hmm.
not where they're using their gifts. I can become really good at those skills. All of us can learn, but it's like, are you passionate about what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you stay more in a job or something, you become good at it. But the question is,
Always
are
when
you
you
passionate about it?
always when you dedicate certain amount of time for a regular basis, then you there is no other way than becoming better every day and every.
Exactly, because your brain is made for growth. You will want to learn, so you will become good at that. That is like, if you really put your mind, you will learn it. But it's like, will you be passionate about
Mhm.
it? Is it gonna, when you wake up in the morning, are you excited to go to work? Are you like, yeah, I'm ready to conquer it?
but
Am
then
I contributing?
but then it's like quite easy to say, okay, find your clarity, like sit down, maybe like say what do you want to do, but then maybe sometimes it's quite hard to do the steps because we are so in the little box of doing our all doing our skill set, then we
Yeah.
cannot even imagine stepping outside of this box and going toward what we feel like it's our passion. What do you recommend in what is your strategy for?
I would say always start with looking inwards, like
Mm-hmm.
looking, making reflection, and that comes back to the clarity about what actually a dream job means for you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people is like, yeah, I would like to wake up in the morning and go to a job that I'm happy. But what does that happiness means for you?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with doing the inner work, and that is working at your, what are your values?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
if you are like, you value maybe time with your family and you want to leave at 4 or work remotely and so on because you want more flexibility, but then you go and you apply for a job that their value is like with hard work, with
Cool.
work over schedule, deliver all the time with the phone, I don't think that is going to match there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that it comes back, what are your values, what are your strengths, what are your what's your the passions, what are your gifts?
Mm-hmm.
And the gifts, I always see them different than the skills, because skills is something you learn, but the gifts is kind of something, it's your special sauce, to say so.
Do you think we are born with those gifts or we just get them over time? Or how do we
It
see?
depends. I think here is back and forth, because they can be influenced from the background you grew up in. But I really do believe that everyone has something special about them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that it makes them different. Like we are all equal on a spiritual level, but on
Mm-hmm.
the marketplace, we are a bit different.
Mm-hmm. I think if you start the journey of self development and you start to learn about yourself, then maybe you discover what are your strengths. But I know that many people can say, I don't know, I'm not good at anything. What do you do at this case, in this situation?
I mean, then we will deal with the confidence and the self-worth of the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, we come back to the inner journey,
Mm-hmm.
because I always believe that people are able, everyone is able of doing great things in their own way. And they,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has their gifts, but they themselves needs to see it. And what you think is like that, you are like, oh, this is so easy for me, it can be so hard for somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
just you are not able to see it. And that's why a coach or doing programs or someone, it's like they put a mirror in front of you. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
look here.
Mm-hmm.
Look here at who you are. You have all these things,
Mm-hmm.
this
And then you're like,
amazing thing.
wow, I didn't
And
know
you're
that.
like, oh wow, I haven't seen this. Because and this is the mind, it's our mind that is always going to trick us, because the mind is always made for finding what's wrong. We are set up,
Mm-hmm.
it's the
Yes.
survival mind. It's
Yes.
always because it's trying to protect you, so it's going to scan
Mm-hmm.
the environment, aka scan yourself, and see what's wrong with you, instead of
Mm-hmm.
looking, okay, but what do I have good actually, what are my strengths, what are my passions, what are
Mm-hmm.
my gifts, what are my
Mm-hmm.
values, and so
Mm-hmm.
on.
I think this is so so important, and I am currently in this stage of reflecting so much, but really like looking into myself. And I think nowadays when we have the social media and we have zanzillion platforms, we always tend to seek for something external,
The
information,
pill is,
motivation. What?
I call it the pill, is like in, because it's easier to find out something outside that it's easy, that is going to fix it like this,
Yeah.
and I take the pill and it's going to fix it
Yes. Yes.
immediately, where
Absolutely.
it's actually a process. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes, even for me, after doing so much inner work for so many years, I still do it because it's never ending,
It's
actually.
never ending. It's like you always have the feeling like I'm gonna reach that, but then you will discover there is completely new levels of you what you can discover.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ayana, I have a question because my YouTube channel, I talk to a lot of students and young professionals. And there is one common situation I've discovered. Students graduate from great universities, really like prestigious programs all around the world. They master a lot of languages. They're smart, they're driven, and they love the major they studied. And they, for example, want to stay in the industry.
Yeah.
But then they cannot find a job which really corresponds with their education, or they are constantly getting opportunities for like very entry level positions, even though they, for example, studied management. And what would you recommend in this situation? Because I understand if you pay, for example, for university, or in my case, I teach people how to win scholarships so they don't
Yeah.
graduate with debt. But still, well, how do you navigate this situation and this this job hunting, let's say?
I would say that for the graduates, because they're at the beginning, and I'm sure that you, the ones that they follow you and so on, that I think it's even promoted nowadays that you start doing an internship from the time you study, because if not, it's how do you say, it makes things easier. But definitely, I would say to really define what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like write your job description.
Mm-hmm. That's
Start
amazing.
with writing your job description and see that what happens, and then think that maybe find a way or a role that maybe is not your dream role right now, but it can
Mm-hmm.
lead you there, because after graduation is very important, the phase of exploration.
Mm-hmm.
I call it, because you need to go and explore to see what you actually like and to see those strengths and to see those gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so sometimes you need to take some things that maybe are not dreamy at the beginning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
but
think
take it from a point of view of exploring it.
people are
Don't
often
take it,
afraid that when they get a job that they will stay there forever. So that they
yeah, and
stay.
it's not like that anymore. Actually, now people change jobs. I think every 3 years. Actually, it's
Mm-hmm.
even sooner, like every 2 years, and they change it and throw themselves in the programs to be courageous, and most importantly, I would say having a mentor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Find people and network. So find people that they have those dream jobs. How did they got it? What
Mm-hmm.
did they do? Go in their history and follow up. How did they get there? What
Mm-hmm.
are the patterns? Because if you go and speak with 5, 6, 7, 8 people, most likely they have a pattern there on how they ended up in that job that you really want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that I would have liked also to know at one point. Mentor and find those ones who have what you want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what if and this happens very often as well. People study for 3, 5, 6, 7 years, the higher or the tertiary education. They get their degree and they're like, oh my God, but I want to pursue completely different career. I want to do something completely beyond the the studies I've done. I don't know.
It
Let's.
happened to me.
What did you do? What did you?
Well, after I finished my studies, I realized, and it was like in service management, so it was a lot of how to say how to manage a business. It was a bit related, but it was very broad to say so. But after I finished, I got this. It was the boom of digital media, digital marketing, the media,
Mm-hmm.
and I got so interested in it, and I went back and I took courses in it, and then I opened my own company of doing digital marketing and traveling around the world and doing
Oh,
videos and photos for hotels with a
uh-huh.
friend. So when you move in another, just see what are the skills that can be transferable, because most likely there are some soft skills that they can be transferable
Mm-hmm.
from all your studies that you they are some skill, there must be something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can show you there is something there. See what can be, and then see what you're missing and try to fill it up. There are so many platforms that you can learn. Like, we are in the learning era nowadays. You can find on courses on LinkedIn, on Coursera, Udemy. It's like you can learn. It was Google that was giving at that point, because Google wanted everybody to start to learn SEO and how to do ads, Google ads, and so on. And I took those courses and they were free. And based on that, that's how I opened the company.
How did you move from running your digital company and then do you still run the company or you're
I
focusing?
didn't, because it was requiring to move too much, and
Uh-huh.
I just didn't want to do that anymore, and I wanted a bit more stability. So
Ability.
that's why I closed it and so on.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I'm saying that if there is a will, there is a way,
Mhm.
um, and we have so much information out there.
Mhm. Yeah, the one common pattern I talk to a lot of successful people who have higher degree, who just have high school, who are males, females, all ages, all backgrounds. And as you said, if there is a will, there is a way. And if you keep like as you mentioned, if you're in your job and you do something every single day, and if you pursue something every single day, then there is no other way than just achieving it at some point.
And don't get tied up to your, I call it the career identity. So
Mm-hmm.
to that label, just
Mm-hmm.
because I graduated, my university background is accountancy. I was
Mm.
like, who the hell made me study that?
Number.
It was not for me at all. But sometimes we end up in things again for some reasons,
Mm-hmm.
um, that they are not for you.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you, I will have to continue calling myself an accountant,
Mm-hmm.
then I will have pursued those jobs and so on. So, or don't get tied up to the degree you're graduating from or the first job you have in, and that to stop you where you want to go. I see
Mhm.
people that they have either too many, they get in a role like project manager or medic or this or that, and
Mhm.
they want to transition in something else.
Mhm.
And it's just because they're so tied up to that career identity, to that label, that they cannot mentally make the transition in something else. Because who
Mhm.
am I if I'm not a project manager anymore?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
How
then it comes the, yeah,
how do
tough.
you navigate that? That let's say now moving from fresh graduates, and let's imagine like you have already two jobs behind, like full-time positions, and now again you realize I don't want to travel anymore. I want to settle down or different phases of life.
And it's
How
normal.
and it's very natural.
Yeah.
How to create, let's say, new identity.
It comes back to do the inner job, and again decide what are my values right now.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
am I searching right now in my life? And people are afraid of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
What will X say if I move? Oh, if I move now, I will not find jobs. If I move now, I will not have the money or the salary because I move
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have the experience. And we start creating all these stories that you don't even have the information. You didn't even start yet to search for, but you create, the mind starts to work, and you're already stopping and you don't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where there are actually so many transferable skills, and then you look at, okay, what's missing, and you're trying to complete that. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
now we don't say that you studied accountancy and then you want to be an astronaut or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will not say it's impossible if you really want to. I'm a pro of things, but I think also that there are some things there.
Mhm. There's one more thing I would like to ask. In one of your posts, you mentioned that usually women, if I remember well, tend to stay in the job search or in jobs they don't really enjoy longer. Is that correct? You mentioned it in some of your posts.
Can you
And
say again?
if I'm correct, you mentioned in one of your posts that women tend to stay in jobs or in careers they don't actually like so much, or it's harder for them to transfer into a new job or a new position or transfer to different career path or identity. Is that correct? Did I remember well? Do I remember well?
Maybe I posted. I don't. But I think it's harder for women in general, even when they apply for, like, what I've noticed, and I think there are even researches about this, that when a woman looks on a job ad,
Mm-hmm.
in her mind, she needs to fulfill almost everything in order to apply for the job.
And men?
To even, and a man, if you see that he can do a few the things, it's like, I'm gonna sort it out. And it's crazy because we think that we need to have all the things when you look at the job ad. But now my question for also for your viewers, if you fulfill every task on the job ad,
Mhm.
then what are you gonna learn?
What are you gonna learn, right? Yeah.
You are not, that's a perfection, that like they're searching for a perfect candidate. So that means that you will be overqualified if you know to do everything on that list. So you will not learn. Most likely they will leave, and they do not want as company that you have everything there.
Okay. So do you think they don't want someone who has all the requirements fulfilled?
Then there will be that they're overqualified.
They overqualified. True. True.
So it's like I always say, if you fulfill like around 80, apply for it.
Mm-hmm. There is this parrot principle, 80-20.
Exactly. I go even lower, to be honest, because you never know
28.
who else. No, I will go around maybe 60. Maybe 60 I will even go
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
60% of the things that you can do. Because you never know who apply, and if it's like something that you're really some skills that you're like, okay, they could be quite fast, I could learn it. Depends of the manager how supportive it is. There are some managers that they're like, they see potential in you, and they're like, okay, I take you, and I
Mm-hmm.
take you under my wing, and you will learn these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard all kind of stories.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us
So
some? like your recent success stories of your clients, something what comes to your mind, like some story of a person who was trying to find a career or dream career.
Yeah, it was I was working for a year actually with a girl that she was appointed like a team lead.
Mm-hmm.
And she has so much pressure and she got burned out. So this is something that happens especially in the startup world because they push, 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 and you're like on all the time. So we kind of reevaluated what she's searching for, got her out of that job, and then land a job that is matching where she's like more relaxed, more
Mm-hmm.
peaceful, peace of mind, and according with the things and skills and the tasks that she wants to work with. So that
Mm-hmm.
was really nice because it was quite the journey to deal with the mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
from there to switch into, okay, now that we are okay, let's land your dream job. Just to
Mm-hmm.
show that even when you're in a rut, you can still find your dream
You
job.
can say that. Amazing. I am always happy
And
to.
also to, yeah, and also to put the emphasis that you do not have only one dream job.
Okay, I thought there is only one dream job. There can be
I
two.
I I I believe that there is dream jobs depends also of the phases that you are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that changes. So it doesn't mean that all your life you will have one dream job. You'll have a one dream job according to when maybe when you're like 20, 30s, you explore the world and you're a nomad and this remote and so on is working for you. Maybe later on you want more stability. Maybe you will want to work more with a community or something
Mm-hmm.
like being
Mm-hmm.
in part of a team. So also not to get stuck that there is just one in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your phases in your life, you may have different dream
Yeah,
jobs. But
absolutely.
again, to have that clarity and confidence,
Always back to
especially
reflect.
the clarity of what do I want right now for the next 5 years or something. What am I searching? What do I want to work with?
Mm-hmm. Just
But also not to get stuck that is like that's it, because then you come back to the bubble of career stagnation and
mhm.
career put a label. It's like that's it, and then
And do
it's
you think it makes sense? You mentioned ask yourself what I'm interested right now. Do you think it
exactly.
makes sense to actually ask yourself also, hmm, what do I might want in 5 years or 10 years,
Yeah,
15 years, and act on that? Or do you think it's better
exactly.
to act based on the present?
I think it's good on the present, but also what kind of lifestyle you want to
Mhm.
have in the
Mhm.
future. I don't like to go way too much. I think it's nice to have like a 10-year vision. I think people get stuck because they're afraid to imagine that, or they don't know how, or they get stuck. But I always say, like, have a pinpoint there and you continue adding to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So have a vision. I don't know. I started having it. I really want to have my own retreat. So I started having that in mind. That's what I want. But in the same time, I started adding more things with the time. So
Uh-huh.
have a piece of the puzzle, and with time, you gather more information of the puzzle.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you forget where you're going, you have that as a reference point.
Always as a lighthouse.
Exactly, exactly. Like a why. Why do I want that? Where do I want to go? And the how, leave it a little bit more to happen,
Mm.
because
I
we are also very tied up to how we want things to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like we always want to know how it's gonna happen and how. But then we kind of sometimes we often need to just believe and surrender. I feel it is
Yeah,
how the universe work.
it is, and it's because if you tied up is like I want to get my dream job only by applying with a CV or cover letter or applying on LinkedIn, then you kind of close the doors, you close your mind to search up for like maybe one day you walk and somebody mentions a website of jobs remote and you
Mhm.
hear it and then you go search and maybe there you find your job that you're interested in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Ayana, thank you so much. Is there anything you would like to add at the end for the audience who is watching? Some final recommendation or tip?
I would say to be courageous
Mm-hmm.
and go after what you want because it is possible, but it's very important to define very well what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get what you want, but define it so well, so in many details, especially the job. Go in details. How do you feel when you go there? Um, who are you working with? How is your manager? Practically write your job description.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always say to that to people, write your dream job description for them.
You can actually write the job description in the comment under this video. So then this is
Yes,
your homework.
that's amazing. I would love to read that.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. As you, Ayana, you mentioned, the mentor is important. I can absolutely agree to that. Every time I want to master some area of my life, I always search for a mentor, whether it's health, it's relationships, it's traveling, it's career, it's finances. And Ayana is actually about to open mentorship or it's a
Of
course or
course, yeah.
yeah,
It's a,
next year. The date is not released yet, but until then you can follow her on LinkedIn. I will enclose the link to your profile under this video so you can find it. And thank you guys for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you in other videos.
thank you.